So I was feeling called to do like a mini little collective reading today because I don't know. When I was waking up this morning, I was going in and out of a dream. And of course, I was going in and out of a dream because Gracie wakes me up for like 3 breakfasts starting at like 3 in the morning. So we're trying to work on that. It's going, when you have a cat, she don't play about her mealtime. She will just smack me in the face with her paw. But anyway, we have the Tower, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Sun. I was feeling called to do a collective reading today because when I was like waking up, I was going in and out of this dream, and it was so like I've never had this experience before. But I really feel like Spirit was telling me the story, and like seeing these tarot cards laid out, it's lining up so well. But yeah, so they were telling me the story about this little seed. And so there's a little seed, and that seed is you and me as well. But when a seed is below soil, it's starting to germinate. It's getting like the little roots and stuff, and it's all like cozy and warm and safe, and like, it's all dark and cozy beneath the soil, and you feel comfortable, you feel safe. You're a little seed and you feel safe in the soil. And you're not meant to stay down there though, right? Like, you're meant to grow. And if this has come from something, please let me know. But anyway, like if you've heard this story before, I'm curious. But anyway, so it was sort of like, and I was being taken out of that context or that scene, and then I was asking, like, why do bad people come into my life? Why have I had these bad people? Why have you hurt me like this? Why did you bring this person in? Like, my dream self was like asking this, like wanting to know answers. And Spirit kept pulling me back to this damn seed. And so like it was bringing me back to the seed, and it was like, you were this little seed beneath the soil. And I'm like, okay. And then they brought this bird in. And so they're like, then the smooth talking bird came. That's how they described it, a smooth talking bird. Probably a Gemini. It was like, but anyway, Gemini is symbolized by the birds. That's why I said that. Also, they're known for communication, and birds never stop chirping. So a smooth talking bird comes along and starts talking to the little seed, and is making the seed laugh, and it's telling the seed, like, come up. I want to see you. I want to talk to your face, And the seed's like, I don't know. Like, I'm warm and I'm cozy down here. I don't know about coming up. And the bird's a real smooth talker, though, right? It's like chatting up this little seed. And so the seed's like, all right. Like, I guess I can come up. And so the seed starts to sprout. And so the seed is like growing up, and it's hard. It's painful to break through soil. And, to come up to the surface, it's painful, and it's not pleasant for the little seed. And that would be growth, right? Growth is not pleasant. It's change, it's different. And it physically can hurt emotionally opening up, and showing ourselves. And that's what the seed is doing. It's showing its face, right? It's growing, it's showing itself. And so now a little seed has grown, and it is above ground, and it's bright, and it's disorienting, and the little seed's looking around, and the bird has left. The bird wasn't patient. The bird didn't wait for the seed to grow. The bird didn't grow with the seed. The bird just left. And so that's the abandonment. And so then it begins to rain. And so now the seed is resentful because it couldn't depend upon the bird. It's made all of these changes. It's gone through this whole process, and now it's raining. And it's lonely. And so I'm being pulled out of it again, and I'm saying to Spirit, like, how could you do that? How could you let that happen? Stop bringing these birds in. And the Spirit takes me back. And Spirit says, that water that's coming down, that's healing, right? The water, the rain, that is symbolizing here in this dream that I'm in. That's not a dream, but is a dream. The healing journey, the spiritual awakening, right? It's water. That's the energy that water carries. That's the magic of water. And water also teaches us acceptance. You know, when you flow like water, you are surrendering, right? And for the seed to sprout like that, now it's at one with its environment, right? It's a participant in its environment. And when that rain finally clears, when the healing journey has reached some point of stabilization, right? That is when the sun comes back out. And the sun is where we're happy. The sun symbolizes joy, symbolizes contentment. And it almost like a return home, because it's a return to childhood. Usually the sun card has a child on it, right? A baby. So this return to center. And so Spirit was trying to tell me, if we hadn't brought in those bad people or that bad person or that bad experience with the bird, if we hadn't brought in that bird, you would have stayed beneath the soil your whole life. You would have never have grown up. You would have never shown yourself to the world. You would have never have left your comfort zone if it wasn't for that fast-talking bird. And so, yeah, the bird hurt you and abandoned you and mistreated you and didn't keep its promise, didn't stick around, but it got you out of your comfort zone. So we're looking at these cards now. The Tower, right? In fact, let's rearrange these a little. The Wheel of Fortune, that's the bird coming in, right? The divine intervention. The bad person, right? The bad person that was sent in. And then the Tower, the seed has grown up, right? And it's raining and it's awful and it's terrible. And then the Sun, this is where you end up. You've grown. And, you know, you never know how strong you are. You never know your full potential. You never know what you can grow into until you have the courage to break soil. And sometimes Spirit does things that are like tough love, you know? Sometimes we don't understand until we're through the thick of it why we had to have those connections with certain people, you know? And it's they are meant to trigger us. They are meant to challenge us. They are meant to awaken us to what we don't want, you know, and to teach us our full value, our full worth. That little seed would have never have known the sunflower it was meant to grow into if it wasn't for that freaking bird, you know? So I don't know who functioned as a bird in your life, you know? I don't know who promised to stick around and left. I don't know who was meant to be a rock for you and ended up being flighty and inconsistent. You know, it may have been a parent, it may have been an ex, it may have been a friend that you thought would be with you for a lifetime but ended up just staying for a season. But regardless, the gift in all of it is yourself. It is yourself. Like, I think so much of the time, especially if you watch a lot of tarot readings, or if you have a spiritual practice, we kind of get in this mindset of like healing being preparation for something better. And that something better tends to be something external from us. So like you know, I'm healing and I'm working on my self-love because I want to attract the best partner. And so we look at that as like, you know, at what point am I going to reach this goal of being healed and then I'm going to meet the love of my life? When is that going to happen? And so like we externalize the reward. And it's just an example. But I think it's a common one, right? And that does a disservice to ourselves. Because really, ultimately, we're the gift. We're the light ourselves. You know, it's a reward in and of itself to truly and authentically love and accept yourself. And I know it sounds corny and I know it sounds cheesy and you're saying, I'm lonely, I'm lonely, I'm lonely. And I hear you and I get you and I feel you. But I think what Spirit was trying to tell me, and I think what Spirit wanted me to pass along to you all, is that the only option that you have is to grow. Like, there's this Instagram reel that has been popping up for me. Most of the time I'm just watching cat videos, but it keeps popping up for me, and this person is saying, you're all in. With life, you are all in. Like, this is gonna kill you. Like, you are all in. You have no choice but to grow. Right? Like, if it's a choice between staying in the soil and growing, you have to grow, because what is the soil? That's where we end up. That's death, right? Like, you know, I mean, some people get cremated, but most of us are returned to the soil. You have to grow. You have to participate. So it reminded me actually of The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I don't know if you've read the book or watched the movie, but he's told over and over again to participate. Spirit wants you to participate not only in your own life, but to be an active witness to your own progression. Like, it's almost like Spirit wants you to pull outside of yourself for a minute and look at yourself like you were a character in a story. And if you were to see your own development, to see your own character arc, it's almost like a coming of age novel. Like if you read a young adult novel and you read a coming of age stories, most coming of age stories are like YA books. If you were to read a book like that, the love interest is always secondary. Or whatever else is going on in their life, it's secondary to the growth. Don't let your fixation on a subplot of your life detract from your happiness and your emotional fulfillment, because especially if you are worried about love, romantic love, don't let that subplot detract from your happiness and your ability to participate in life. Like, and I know it's hard because so much of our society is geared towards couples. And there's nothing wrong with wanting social support. There's nothing wrong with wanting a partner. And there's nothing wrong with looking around and saying, like, where are they? Like, we all have that, right? But that cannot be, that can't be what prevents you from being happy with yourself, you know? And I think Spirit was wanting me to know that if other people were incapable of loving me in the past, or if other people were incapable or unwilling to grow with me, that had very little to do with me and honestly isn't my concern now. And what I should be looking at is how far I have grown, and to be excited to have gotten to this point and to look at the years ahead of me, God willing, if I've got them, to be excited about all the space that I have to continue to spread my roots and to continue to grow and to flourish. And I think that if you were called to watch this, it's the same for you too. Because I really feel like I was meant to share that with you all because others of you are feeling it too. And that's you know, your character arc is not, you know, just about you finding true love or reaching a certain level of success in your career or obtaining a certain level of wealth. That's not the heart of a story. And, you know, I was watching, she's not Stargirl anymore, Anita Serene. I was watching her 2023 prediction this morning, and she was talking about how so much of tarot reading is aligned with storytelling. And I 100% was like, yes, I've always thought that. Yes, like it felt like so validating to hear that, especially given like, you know, the weird morning I had because I watched it like as soon as I woke up, I was drinking my coffee. It is so much about, and I think that's why I identify so strongly with tarot, because I love to read and it's my favorite hobby. I love it. And this is what this is. It's like, it's me pulling out a story and telling you what I'm seeing in the cards. And there are archetypes and there are tropes that come up that are very similar to the stories I read in books. And I feel like it would benefit you greatly to start looking at your life as a story that's unfolding and seeing how, if you can, objectively pulling back, if you were a third-party observer with no personal stake in it, and you were seeing a character grow, what would you think of them? You know? Because if you're on a hero's journey, it's not easy. When you start to read a book, is the character falling in love and getting everything they've ever wanted in chapter 2? No. And usually there's a climactic moment in a story, right? There's a point of climax, and any good writer will tell you, you gotta make things as worse, absolutely terrible, as awful as you possibly can for your character to keep the reader engaged. And somehow, through the character's growth, it typically works out in the end, right? Most of us like a good ending. Most of us like a happy ending. And so, you know, you can make this a tragedy or you can make it a comedy. You know what I mean? Like, you can choose how you want to view this. But I think it would benefit you to say, okay, I'm in the rising action stage. Okay, I'm in the climax right now. Okay, like I'm just at the beginning of my story. And to view it in that manner, because you do have time. As far as we know, you've got time. And so, and just to accept that all that is within your control is this growth. So you continue growing. And as you grow, just like this cat is spreading its little arms or legs here, you will start to attract. With the sun, you'll start to attract. And so when Spirit sees that, they won't have to keep sending you birds. Like, there won't be any need for the birds, because you've already broken that soil. You've already risen up. So you don't have to keep having birds. I like birds, but I don't know, not in my dream last night, I'll tell you. Or actually at like 3 o'clock in the morning was more like the time frame. So yeah, this was probably an odd reading, but I felt called to share it. And the last little collective reading that I did on the channel did really well, so I don't know, I figured I would just go ahead and sit down and film. I keep wanting to say like pile 1 or pile 2, like take care, but there's no piles today. It's just a reading. I'm wishing you all the best, and if you're going through a hard time, know that you're not alone. I'm like so sick and tired of feeling like I'm in a transitional period. Like I really want to be at a place in my life where I feel like things have stabilized and are like steady, and because I've had a lot of just like major changes, and then followed by like stagnancy, and then like major change, and like I just want things to like stabilize out. And so I don't know, say a prayer for me. I'm gonna say a prayer for you, whoever's watching, and yeah, maybe we'll get to where we need to get going soon. But you know, I mean, all we can do is our best. And I think honestly we forget that that's all we're ever being asked to do is our best. Take care, whoever's watching, and I will see you all in my next one.